Yeah. Do y'all set a time limit for y'all's? Because I've got friends who, if they're given the chance, they can talk for about 5 hours straight.
Right.
Or is there is there a time limit of what's too short?
There are different philosophies on this. Some people say that, with audio, you want to limit it to 20 to 30 minutes because otherwise,
that's when people start.
Yeah, and a lot of people listen to it on their commute, so commute's about 30 minutes or something. Our philosophy is we do whatever the hell we want to, and it backfires against us constantly, but we just talk about it and we just try and make sure it's good content. When we start stretching out, we're like, we'll identify that, we're like, you know what, we're just reaching at this point. Okay, good night, see you next time, everybody. And that's when we end it. But it depends on you, what you're talking about, and the group you've got sometimes. If they can talk for an hour and have really good content, that's great. But as far as time limit goes, we usually don't go past an hour because nobody's going to sit there. An hour is asking a lot, but somebody might listen on their way to and from work or something like that, or while they're on the treadmill.
That's another thing about because we actually, most of ours are an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But it's not because we're talking about one thing for an hour and a half.
Right.
We're broken down into different segments. I mean, even with the anime recaps, for the first 10-15 minutes, we're actually responding back to fan emails that we got over the podcast, and we're replying to something that somebody said, or if somebody sent us, because we've been doing this recently, we've been getting a lot of reviews on iTunes, so we've been responding back to those reviews, and then we'll go into the anime and we'll discuss the anime. And the problem is that the anime recaps, because we didn't have all this stuff at the end, we're 30 minutes long, whereas the manga recaps are an hour and a half. We break them down. I do 2 a week, and now we've got it to where once we're done with the anime recap, we'll go and we'll introduce a Japanese word of the week in order to educate our fans on different words in Japanese, kind of teaching. And we promote other shows. We have guests on from other shows. In fact, we're trying to grab in Paul and Hitomi Griswold from JapanCast.net, which is an amazing podcast I think you guys should all check out. They do video podcasts now, and they teach Japanese. It's a free podcast where they are trying to teach you Japanese, and they just put up a free app on the iPhone that teaches you the proper brushstrokes for hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And then after the word of the week, we get into some culture. We do fan art, just 5 out of our top 10 that got picked for the week, and whatever the top 5 are, we'll bring them in, we'll discuss them, and that brings us from half an hour to an hour and a half, and then we'll wrap up with we've actually got an intro, outro that I put together. And wow, we're at 41, so that's going to change in 9 episodes.
While we were talking about shameless self-promotion, plugging podcasts and stuff, you were talking about doing listener emails. We came here with a challenge, because everyone that listens to our podcast or emails our podcast is a personal friend of ours.
Yeah.
We know them.
We want a listener who's not.
Yeah, we are challenging one of you guys to listen to the podcast. If you don't like it, fine. It's not gonna hurt my feelings except for a little bit.
It sounds like a pledge drive.
But
we're challenging you to give time.
But listen to it, and if you like it, email us just so that we can have a listener that is somebody that we don't know personally, and then we'll probably become best friends after that, because that's how it works.
Well, I think it helps also that we do pretty much whatever the hell we want with our podcast, because no episode is exactly the same. We've got a structure that we follow on our show, but it's not set in stone. I mean, I do the voice of Killer Bee for the manga recaps, because we do read-throughs and then we recap it, and the recap's about 5 minutes, but we read through the whole thing. Well, before, I was doing Killer Bee and the Joker voice, Heath Ledger's Joker voice.
Oh, here it comes.
And that was nowhere near cool enough for the manga recap, the manga chapter that came out.
Are you ready for it?
I don't know if you saw it, but there was an armadillo penis in the last Naruto thing, so what I ended up doing, because it was funny and there was penis in it, I went right to Sean Connery, and I said, and they're sitting there talking about this, I was like, it's a penis man. it mited my penis. Started the whole SNL thing, and we went up. And so, I mean, it was like about 10 minutes worth of SNL jokes that I cut down to 2 minutes. Like, I will keep most of our random crap in there. But when you have crackheads like me and Naruto on the podcast, you're gonna come up with, and then you throw in the perviness that is Jiraiya. Yep. That is it right there. That is it right there. In fact, we have like lots of special stuff that we added to this. Like once a month, we have Sakura does a Yaoi Corner. So we have an entire episode dedicated to the Yaoi fandom. And then we have Jiraiya to make it fair. If you're gonna make a Yaoi Corner, you gotta represent the other side, right? So we have Pervy Place run by Jiraiya, and we do back in the day recaps where we go back and talk about the stuff that happened in the original Naruto series up to, and then start making our way month by month towards where we are.
I want to pull it down a little bit. Talk a little bit about hosting. Talk a little bit about hosting.
Wow, that was actually the weak point for the panel because. We actually built the site before we set up the podcast and we were posting articles and stuff, and I actually custom built everything. So,
I feel your pain,
don't do it the way Dylan
I feel your pain.
But that's what I do. So, honestly, if you can get a web hosting account, put WordPress. I know there's some podcasting plugins you can look for that. And really, all you need is some place to store your MP3 files.
I don't know of any free ones because the one I use, I actually have to pay for my feed.
Yes.
There's one called TalkShoe. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's actually for kind of live broadcasting, and it will host your podcast for you, basically.
How much storage capacity?
I don't know. I haven't hit it yet. I've got about 10.
It's called TalkShoe.
I have
TalkShoe. SHOE.
How long are your podcasts?
About an hour and 15 minutes.
I might check that out because where I'm using Podcast Revolution, I'm paying around $15 a month for 1 gig of space.
I don't use it as my primary storage. I use it kind of as a secondary. We're trying to do live podcasts.
Well, the other problem I have is that most of the people that I know that do podcasting that are good friends of mine, they're sitting there asking me why I'm doing Podcast Revolution, and I'm like, well, it's a cheap way to do my feed. They're paying $60 for a year-long server. They're paying it's $60 for the whole year. They have a server. Their website is on their server. Every episode they've done, and the One Piece podcast has over 100. And I'm just like,
just for a podcast.
Just for a podcast. I'm like, it's nice that you guys have that much time. I was stupid enough to build my community from the get-go. Before we even put out the first episode, we had our DeviantArt page and a Facebook group. And then I deleted the group because the group idea was stupid and it was like fan page. But there's just so much work that goes into that. And unfortunately, for the first 20 episodes, I was the only guy doing the work.
What was the process like, Dylan, getting us onto iTunes?
Really? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that was the easy part.
It was easy.
Yeah.
It actually is. Again, all it really takes to host a podcast, there's something called an RSS feed. I don't know if, you know.
Most of you guys probably use RSS feeds even if you don't know what they are.
Yeah, even if you don't.
Basically, you just generate that. WordPress will do that for you if you're using like a plugin. And you just give that to iTunes.
Yeah, you just basically, I think it's like copy and pasting it basically.
Yeah, just give it the URL. It's really easy.
Just copy and pasting your URL that has your feed on it.
I'm actually a software developer, and I had a lot of trouble with RSS feed getting it in because we use .NET CSS core, and what was coming out of that was wrong, so we had to go through like FeedBurner to get into iTunes.
FeedBurner is
something
actually
really,
really good.
really easy or really difficult.
Yeah, it always depends on where you host your stuff.
FeedBurner is actually really good to use anyway because that will give you stats and stuff like that. You can add in a couple of other features like submit to dig or things like that.
Now again, I've heard that people who have their own servers generally don't have a problem putting their stuff on iTunes. It's pretty much they have their dedicated servers where they post their feed, the website address for their actual feed. They just copy the URL, paste it into iTunes, and go. That's it.
I imagine it's the same thing for Snicker Zune or
actually,
well, we're on Zune as well as on iTunes. Like it's crazy, and because I mean it's nice that we get so many listeners, but I knew that some people would kind of want to see stuff that we're talking about. So I made a YouTube account 4 hours, so every one of our podcasts is broken down, and thank God YouTube upgraded from 10 minutes to 15 because that makes my life so much easier.
Let's go.
Well, I mean, I use Windows Movie Maker just to kind of do, because all I'm doing is like picture representation. It's like episode 180 of Naruto featured a new opening and a new closing theme. So I had pictures for when we were talking about the, I took screen caps from the episode I had on Crunchyroll. That's right, I paid. I sold out to them.
Paying is good. I
actually,
support
yeah,
the anime.
yeah, we okay, if you guys actually realized how much money in the last week I have dropped on anime and gaming alone, it would drop your jaw. You would be like, why the hell did you not put this money into your podcast? And I would sit there and go, I should have thought of that. But yeah, I mean, just we do this every week before after I list the ways that you can contact us, because we always list the ways that you can contact us over Facebook, over our podcast. There's a word, I swear to God. Yeah, I've learned over podcasting, and you will too if you do a podcast, that English is not your dominant language, no matter how hard you think it is, and you have a speech impediment, no matter how hard you try to hide it.
And it's pronounced. It's not a slight speech impediment.
Oh, and if you haven't already, you will come to hate the word and like. Especially if you're trying to edit, and I mean, yes, if you're trying to make yourself sound kind of semi-professional, you're gonna hate those words.
Yeah, just do what we do. We have no professionalism whatsoever.
Yeah. After I really tried to make us sound kind of awesome and professional and everything, and after about episode 15, I gave Audacity the finger, and I was like, yeah, I'm not editing out anymore unless it's like and then I'm taking that out because that's a lot of dead air. But I mean,
again, that's one of those things where you have to decide what style of podcast you're doing and how professional you want it, and how much time you want to spend on it.
Honestly, when I first started out editing, it was about 7 hours to edit about an hour and a half long set of dialogue. Now I can edit a 3-hour recording and knock it down to an hour and a half in about 4 hours. But I mean, again, it's like you said, it's a science. It's one of those things you kind of have to get used to. You have to figure out your own style of editing, and believe it or not, it's actually a very useful skill. I found that I can, I had no interest in trying to edit music at all before this, and now I can create my own mixes. And just in Audacity.
Hey, Dylan, you said it takes about 2 hours to take one of our podcasts and edit it in Audacity, something like that. Like, how much of that is actual work, and how much of that is click? Well, I'm waiting on that. I'm gonna go have coffee.
A lot of that is just click. Like I said, we're not doing a whole lot of editing, mainly because we're not doing it on multiple tracks.
We're terrible.
Yeah.
With my podcast, I have to be there for the whole thing because there's a lot of work involved. But when it comes down to video editing, because I've already got the audio set up how I want it to be, it's just basically me going through and finding out when I need to change a picture, and then grabbing that picture and doing whatever I need to do to that picture. So it's like it takes me about 10 minutes to edit the video just how I want it, and then I have to convert it. And generally, when I convert it, I'm converting it into 720p. I'm converting my videos into HD so that the pictures look crisp and clear when I put them on YouTube. The conversion process usually takes me about 15-20 minutes to convert just like a 15-minute file, and I'm just like, okay, free cell, yeah. I'm sitting there playing the last of my music and playing free cell. I was like, oh god.
I'm actually working on another site called Game Marks. We're doing Xbox Live Indie reviews.
It's MARX.
MARX, where gamers control the production.
Hell yeah.
But the guy who does the video on that was saying that, I mean, he edited down a 15-minute show we did, and he said it took him 10 hours.
To edit 15 minutes?
Just because he's using Premiere Elements.
Jeez, Mike, what are you doing?
Yeah,
we've got a lot of
ridiculous
effects and stuff
dumped
in there, and it's a bunch of